I am joined by Robert Griffin III, James White, Field Yates Meanakeims.
All right, so first play we're going to look at 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
What's going on, everyone? Mike Kadlick and Taylor Kyles here for CLNS Media, back with another episode of the Patriots Daily podcast powered by Prize Picks and Game Time. We are back here to go through the Patriots' 25-22 win over the New York Jets, their second of the season. They now sit, Taylor, at 2-6 on the year. So Taylor broke down the film. I did the best I could to help him break down the film and get us ready for this show. So we're going to go through a couple of phases here, a couple of things that stood out, as Jerod Mayo mentioned, a next man up mentality for this team. Obviously, Drake Maye goes down with the concussion. Kyle Duggar's in play. And they overall just played some complimentary football. And so we're going to go through those three things. But first and foremost, we're going to start with the Patriots news that's really leading this Monday, and that is that Joshua Uche has been traded. The Patriots sent the linebacker to the Kansas City Chiefs for what is reported as a 2026 sixth-round pick. Uche was drafted by the Patriots in 2020. COVID. 2020.
No, 2020. Yeah, that was wild.
2020 COVID draft, the 60th overall pick. It was Kyle Duggar, it was him, and it was Anthony Jennings, and now Uche moves on. He signed a low-money one-year deal after being a free agent this offseason. Felt like a prove-it deal for him, but as the Patriots obviously sit here at 2-6, looking to build for the future. We've mentioned it a million times before, Taylor, on the show, 2025 and beyond. So to me, the trade made sense, right? It felt like Uche could walk next year very easily after having, whether it was a good, whether it's a bad year. If he doesn't want to be a part of the rebuild next year, he can easily walk. And so Patriots get something for him just ahead of the trade deadline coming up shortly. So that's my viewpoint on it, Taylor, but I want to get your thoughts first and foremost. Uche kind of was being phased out of the defense a little bit, right? He was a healthy scratch yesterday after playing 2 weeks of, I believe, less than 20% or 20 snaps or something like that.
Yeah, fewer than 20 snaps and 0 total pressures.
Exactly. So he was falling off a little bit here, and the Patriots get something for him before he walks. So just quick thoughts on Uche being traded today before we get into the nitty-gritty film.
First, on a human level, I'm happy for him. He gets to go to an undefeated Chiefs team that's probably going to win yet another Super Bowl this season and go into one of the best defensive minds in NFL history in Steve Spagnuolo. Now, he doesn't really fit what they typically go for in Kansas City. They really lean more on their power guys like George Karlaftis, Charles Omenihu, those kind of guys.
Yeah.
But, if I trust Spagnuolo. I know that he's probably just going to use him in the best way he can. I know they like to cycle guys through, so he can really just be that late down pass rusher, whereas the Patriots were having so many depth concerns at times on the edge, they had to put him in spots where he really wasn't best suited. I also don't know how much Kansas City drops their guys into coverage, so hopefully he can really just pin his ears back and do what he does best. So yeah, that's awesome for him. He was always a consummate professional with us. Gave really insightful answers. It was always really interesting to listen to him whenever he came up to the podium. So wish him well. Makes a lot of sense for the Patriots because probably going to leave next year, go somewhere. And if he stayed with New England, his stock was probably going to plummet. You weren't going to get anything for him, especially because the Patriots have a ton of cap room next year. They're not getting a compensatory pick. I know 2026 sixth-round pick doesn't sound like something, but that could turn into, that season's DeMario Douglas. Who knows? So
better than nothing at the end of the day.
Exactly. Because you would have let him walk and you wouldn't have gotten anything for it. And I'm sure I think he would have been honestly pretty miserable if he had stayed here, given, just what his role was becoming. And clearly he was falling out of favor. And it wasn't like, obviously 2022 is what we always hoped he'd get back to. He never quite did. Evan, I think, made a good point on Twitter. People always, and I know Belichick mentioned he was across from Matthew Judon. I understand that helps to a degree, but he was also playing some really high-level football when he was out there on an island. So I want to give him his credit there, but couldn't quite live back up to that, whether that was a scheme thing, a coaching thing, or whatever. And then obviously there were a lot of lapses in discipline, whether it was not setting the edge, whether it was failing to tackle, getting unnecessary penalties. Like, it wasn't just a lack of production. Also felt like every single week, although he did start showing signs of improvement, there were also kind of big glaring gaps. So, I mean, again, happy for him, but the Patriots get something after, not really having a great season and probably wouldn't have gotten anything after this year.
Absolutely. And in that, he's a guy who they signed him this offseason. A premier player is obviously strong, but somebody who he was one of those boomerang guys, right? Where, not really boomerang. He didn't go anywhere, but they brought him back from the Belichick era into the Jerod Mayo era. And so somebody who they thought could at least be used a little bit as a building block. But at the end of the day, he gets scratched. And then he gets traded to Kansas City. And so in that, the Patriots will have to display this next man up mentality that Jerod Mayo mentioned that factored into their win yesterday against the Jets. So let's get into that. Last week we did, Jerod Mayo called the Patriots soft. He called them a soft football team, and we broke it down that way, where he said they couldn't run the football. So we did our film breakdown on that. We did it on them not being able to stop the run. And then we also did the covering kicks with Bryce Behringer. And again, we didn't go too far into detail on that, but that's sort of what Mayo said. So we're going to use Mayo's words. Last week it was against him. Today it's for him. And he said to use, again, that next man up mentality. Obviously, Drake Maye goes down with the concussion. Jacoby Brissett has to come in, take over the reins for the offense, and plays pretty well. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into some of those defenders stepping up. But I also think we should get into this complementary football aspect of the game for the Patriots. After the game, Jerod Mayo says there were a couple examples as far as complementary football, and he specifically called out the 3-and-out. He said we had a 3-and-out and then a good punt return by Marcus Jones, obviously, that led to a touchdown. That's the complementary football we need to play if we want to be successful moving forward. That's my message to the team. So let's talk about it, because at the end of that first half, Drake Maye's out of the game. They get the ball back with a minute and change left, and they go run, and basically sit on it and get to halftime. The boo birds start coming in because Drake Maye is not there. They don't try and go down the field. And when we talked about it last night on postgame with Zanis, we were talking about how the energy was low in that stadium. It didn't feel like the Patriots had anything going. There were rumors that people in the stands were leaving to beat the traffic and get out of there and get to their cars. And it felt like a low moment. And this team sitting at 1-6 without their quarterback, they're now a star quarterback, obviously one of the most important players on their offense, Drake Maye. They could have easily rolled over and turtled. They could have said, this isn't our day. Drake's not here. Let's just quit. But they did the exact opposite. Yeah. They played complementary football, and they do so right off the bat with a 3-and-out of Aaron Rodgers, long punt return, 62 yards from Marcus Jones, and then they obviously punched it in and scored a touchdown. So let's dig a little deeper into that, Taylor. You set up some film breakdown on it, so take us through it. What do you got?
Yeah, so we're going to start with the 2nd and 4 Jelani Tavai run stuff. We haven't seen a whole lot of these lately. A lot of it is because the front hasn't really done a great job keeping bodies off him. But here, it's just really great recognition from Jelani Tavai on an outside zone run. So we're going to look again. Jelani Tavai is the guy we want to focus on. This is going to be outside zone. They're actually going to bring Tyler Conklin across in jet motion. The Patriots actually kind of did something similar with Hunter Henry on a different concept in the game. They're also going to have this fullback. They're both going to try to block Keon White. And then Dietrich Wise is going to end up getting double teamed. We're going to rewind the play after we give Tavai his flowers, because those two guys also did a great job. We've highlighted at times they haven't been the best run defenders, especially when Wise is doubled, especially when Keon White has to take on multiple blockers. But both guys do a really good job on this rep. So first of all, Jelani Tavai is going to recognize the concept, see that action, get in the backfield underneath the fullback, tackle for loss, does his celebration after. Oh, that's one of the best celebrations on the team by far. Now we're going to look at Dietrich Wise and Keon White. Once again, these guys are going to take on multiple blockers and still hold their ground. So you see Dietrich Wise has a hand in each of these guys' chests, right? Long, wide base. That's going to keep him being able to move laterally without getting washed out of the play. And then Keon White, he's getting blocked by one guy now. Then he's got to take on the fullback with his back turned, but he does a good job using that to kind of dig his heels in as he's kind of getting pushed back, and still sets a hard enough edge that there really wasn't anywhere for the running back to go, even if Jelani Tavai hadn't made that play. Now we're on 3rd and 4. We're going to get an Aaron Rodgers throwaway. This was one of the really impressive parts, and we're going to get into whole next man up mentality a little more in the safety specific portion and this concept in general. But the Patriots did a lot of man matching in this game, especially once it became clear that they couldn't really deal with Garrett Wilson on an island for the entire game. Now, Marcus Wilson, I'm going to try to get to this later in the week if we can, but he really wasn't as bad against Garrett Wilson as it felt like he was in the game. Like when you're watching a football game.
Marcus Jones, right? Marcus Jones. You said Marcus Wilson.
Oh my God.
You blended in with Marco Wilson.
We got two Joneses, we got the M's, and I already can barely get my quarterback straight.
I was just making sure you meant Jones and not Marco Wilson. So I just wanted to clear that up.
That's why we're a dynamic duo, baby. All right. So they did do a lot of man matching, which, with the fact that Duggar was out, put a lot of stress on young guys. You know, Marte Mapu, obviously we know he's smart, but he's still a second-year guy with less than a full season of experience under his belt. Jalen Hawkins, obviously a veteran. He's been that third safety. But really, the fact that they were able to communicate well enough that they didn't have busted coverages, like even last week, we brought it up, the box coverage where Marcus Jones acknowledged, yeah, that was my fault. I busted the play because I didn't get communication. That was all pretty good on this day. So now we're going to get all safeties kind of to this side of the field because the Jets are going to go in a 3-by-1 with Tyler Conklin as the isolated receiver. So we've got John Jones, who was all over the field, like not even in that way we've talked about with Marcus Jones where he'll adjust and end up at safety. John Jones was playing true safety in certain packages. I'm still trying to break down exactly what those roles were because it was not the same kind of pattern we're used to seeing. I'll try to get something out on that. But then Marcus Jones in the slot against Garrett Wilson, Christian Gonzalez against Devontae Adams. Those were the key matchups with that great duo yesterday. Then Marte Mapu and Jalen Hawkins on the backside. Now, oh my God, where'd the screen go? There it is. Okay. Now, what we're going to get here is almost kind of like a switch release where this inside receiver is going to go on the shallow crosser. That's Garrett Wilson. Then the inside most receiver, the number 3, Devontae Adams, is going to run an out route. Now, what the Patriots are going to do coverage-wise is really it's pretty much man coverage across the board. But the purple is where we're going to focus on because this ends up becoming basically a match type of coverage off of what initially looks like a bracket. So with the way these routes are going to deploy, you see Marte Mapu is looking to see if Garrett Wilson's going to go underneath. And if he does, oh my God, this is so hard. Marcus Jones, there's too many M's in this dang secondary, but I love them all. And Marcus Jones is just going to get depth on any outbreaking route that comes his way because he knows that John Jones locked in man coverage, Joshua Bledsoe, and Christian Gonzalez, both locked in man coverage. What did I say? Oh my gosh.
Bledsoe for 24. It's okay.
This is rough, though. I swear I'm sober. This is insane. Okay, so let's just let the play run out so we get an idea of how the routes are actually going to distribute. So, like I said, we're going to get Devontae Adams on the out route. Then we're going to get Garrett Wilson on the underneath. And you see Marte Mapu is going to trigger on that route. Marcus Jones recognizes that, gets depth. So now Christian Gonzalez naturally had inside leverage because he knew he wasn't going to be getting in the inside help. But now Marcus Jones can give him outside help, and then it ends up having both of these routes completely taken away. Aaron Rodgers wants to go to the out to Devontae Adams, but one, he can't go there, and he also doesn't have the option because they ran a stunt or a twist up front. Now Keon White's in his face. We're actually going to get the end zone angle really quick to show exactly what happens up front. But as you see, he has to get out of the pocket and ultimately throw the ball away. And then we get a little something from Christian Gonzalez, a little hand clap there, like we were talking about, showing some more emotion these days.
Love it.
So up front, one thing, this is especially relevant without Joshua Uche. How are the Patriots going to get coverage on third downs? Well, Anthony Jennings was actually the guy who stepped up in that role. Jeremiah Farms, who's actually on the inside right here, also stepped in as kind of like an Adam Butler type where he was that one technique where he tried to create penetration on some line games. But we're going to focus on these two guys over here, Keon White inside, Anthony Jennings outside. Anthony's going to go underneath and get into this gap. Then Keon White is basically going to pretend like he's going to go upfield and end up looping around, waiting for Aaron Rodgers to try and escape the pocket. Oh, yeah, it's the end zone angle in case you didn't know. So let's go. Let's go. I think I put this on like minus a million.
There we go. Okay.
So now as Rodgers tries to get out of the pocket, you got Keon White in his face. Got to throw the ball away. Now I'm going to put us out of our misery on this play. Now this is where things get more fun. Now we're going to get some big plays with the ball in the Patriots' hands. Marcus Jones's big return. After the game, he actually credited JaMycal Hasty for the key block on this play, and we're going to see why. So when he first gets the ball, he's got to make a man miss. But it's Marcus Jones. That's what we expect. Of course, Brendan Schooler literally doesn't even have to do anything. He just gets to stand there and look at this guy look silly on the turf. Now another guy that Marcus Jones has to make miss. Now he's actually going to have to influence this guy because he's got the advantage to the corner over Marcellus Dial right here. So Marcus Jones, you're going to see him give a little move inside, allows Marcellus Dial to get just enough to slow him down. Then Marcus Jones, as he's getting to the corner, now he's got two guys that are starting to converge on him. But wait, JaMycal Hasty here to save the day. Knocks down three different players on one block. Now Marcus Jones skirting the sideline is like, all right, I cleared that phase. Now O'Shawn Mathis, who could be signed to the active roster now that there's no Joshua Uche, a void on the 53. But he's saying, yo, there's a guy back there. Like, set a block and set me free. John's like, okay, I got you. Sends his man to the turf. Then Marcus Jones needs to make two more guys miss. No problem. Juke gets past those two for a few extra yards before he gets chased down. Said he owes his coverage team a little something because he didn't get the score, but you know what? Marcus Jones at home against the Jets.
Did you hear You heard Belichick on that today too, on McAfee, talking about how basically blaming the Jets. Be like, I don't understand why the Jets keep doing this. They got beat on the punt return by Marcus Jones a couple of years ago. Now they're lobbing it up to him. I don't know why they keep giving it to him. I'm reading it now. He goes, that's one of the few weapons that's really consistent for the Patriots. But there goes the ball right down the middle, and there he goes. So, I mean, again, it's kind of like what he talked about last week when the Patriots punted it to the Jaguars right down the middle. The Jets did the same thing to a great punt returner, and obviously he makes them pay. And then the complimentary style of it, they go in and actually score. So break it down.
Exactly. So this is a little later in the drive. All right. So this is kind of fun element to this play. The Patriots actually deployed 3 of their tight ends. Now they've had heavy situations where they put like an extra lineman as, a fake tight end or a fullback. But in this look, they actually have Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, and Jaheim Bell all on the field together. That had never happened during the season, but hey, it was National Tight Ends Day. You got to give the rookie a little bit of love. And we're going to see Ramondre Stevenson catch a ball on Haas from an empty formation. Now, this is actually a play that Drake Maye had a lot of problems with the past 2 weeks, where remember when he sailed those passes to Jermichael Hasty, and we're like, yeah, that's the one where he ends up swinging that foot open and then it sails on him. Jacoby Brissett, much more comfortable in this quick game world. So like I said, you're going to get on the outside are the only guys that aren't tight ends. You got Ramondre Stevenson at the top, Kayshon Boutte at the bottom, all your tight ends in the middle right here. Love Jaheim Bell in this alignment, by the way, because
13 personnel. Let's go.
Yes, huh? And with Bill O'Brien's offense, it's not exactly the same with Alex Van Pelt, but typically the empty theory is you put your best playmakers on the inside because that's where the space is. Sure. And if they're in a split safety coverage, this is typically a linebacker and you get a mismatch. But we've got Ramondre Stevenson in off coverage, so we're going to go to him because the Patriots are going to run Haas once again. Got the seam from Jaheim Bell, hitch from Ramondre Stevenson because he's facing off coverage. And then the Jets are actually going to run quarters to this side. So that's the reason you end up with Sauce Gardner covering Ramondre Stevenson. Typically, that's a huge mismatch you would never want to throw there. But Jacoby Brissett likes the matchup, and he says, you know what? I'm going to trust my guy to win. Ramondre Stevenson cuts underneath the coverage. Great throw and catch. Jacoby Brissett puts it to the sideline. If this is inside, there's a chance that Sauce Gardner takes it back.
100%.
Instead, Ramondre, great extending grab outside of his frame. Sauce ends up missing the tackle. Ramondre skirts the sideline, keeps his balance, then gets a little more yards, gets the Patriots to the 3-yard line. Then he's going to end up taking it in himself. So another snap of 13 personnel. All the tight ends are on one side of the line of scrimmage. Also, we ended up seeing this look later in the game on Jacoby Brissett's, whatever that was. I don't know if it is zone keeper or what, but on the fumble, that was the same look and the same idea. And then Kayshon Boutte at the point of attack. Kayshon Boutte, we can talk about the drops that he had in the game, of course, but the clutch performance, which we'll talk about later, but also he did the dirty work. He was setting up his teammates for success, has a key block here, also had a key block later in the game, but we'll talk about that later. So we're going to get inside zone here. Once again, Kayshon Boutte getting to the second level to block Sauce, and all these guys blocking their down linemen with Michael Jordan getting to the second level. But the trick here is that the Jets are actually going to run a twist. So they love their post-snap movement to create confusion. Typically with the Patriots offensive line, this gives them a lot of trouble because they don't have a lot of chemistry. Darian Lowe does a really nice job adjusting post-snap. Sees, okay, he's going in. I'm just going to let you go where you want to go, big dog. Yep. Now, Michael Jordan, this is tough because the linebacker pretty much starts with leverage on him. So, but he does get just enough to allow Ramondre Stevenson to get outside. Once again, great block here from Kayshon Boutte at the point of attack. Ramondre's just got to make one man miss.
Hard run. Yep.
But Jerod Mayo said it. He's one of the best backs in the NFL. Who makes people miss like Ramondre Stevenson? Nobody. Trucks his man, gets into the end zone for a score. So once again, we haven't seen that complimentary football since the Dolphins game when Christian Gonzalez got the interception and who else but Ramondre Stevenson turned it into points. This is the kind of thing you want to see more consistently from the Patriots. Now, it may not always be the defense gets a 3-and-out or a turnover, then you get a big return, and then you end up scoring. It may not always happen in that sequence, but at least you'd like to see the defense put the offense in positions to succeed, and then the offense actually capitalize.
100%. It like you said, it's great to see the offense capitalize. And then 2 quick notes on that as well, where the throw to Ramondre on the sideline, right? We talk about the last time Brissett played, and we talked about it last week when we compared one Drake Maye throw to a similar outbreaking route that Brissett threw out to Polk on the sideline. And it was a hair late. And it was like his timing seemed a little bit off. And we also talked about it last night, how his whole mental clock with the failing offensive line in front of him and the tough 5 weeks he had to go through. He was clearly on one last night, and we're going to get to it in his breakdown. But the timing of the throw to Ramondre and the ball placement was perfect. It was awesome. If he throws it too late, like you said, that gets picked off by Sauce, but he steps, he throws, he gets it out there perfect. And then Booty, we mentioned the drops. I don't want to say I'm okay with the drops. They have to be improved upon. But you like the resilience from him later on in the game, something else we're also going to get to. But the fact that he's out there blocking and kicking butt, and we saw it on a Ramondre touchdown a couple weeks ago too. Like he's putting in the work. He's not just a wide receiver. He's not this diva wide receiver that you may think of somebody like that, like Kayshon Boutte, who has had his off the field issues and things like that. He's out there and he's putting his best foot forward for the team. So a really impressive stuff from him from the second-year wide receiver. So that's the complementary football aspect of this. We're going to get into the next man up mentality, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. But before we do, quick word from our friends over at Prize Picks, because Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. All you got to do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. So make sure you run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Again, winning up to 100 times your money on the Prize Picks app. All you got to do is pick as little as 4 correct picks. They also have Flex Play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect, making doubling your money super easy, even if your picks don't hit. And the Prize Picks app is also members first. Withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you get that money in as quick as 15 minutes. So make sure you head over to the Prize Picks today. Prize Picks app today. Download it and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Alrighty, Taylor. Let's get into these defenders stepping up for the Patriots in this one, in the 25-20 win. Obviously, Kyle Duggar not out with the injury. Jabril Peppers out with his situation. And so guys really had to step up here. Del Pettis, Jalen Hawkins, Marte Mapu, all active and all playing a crucial role in this game. So much so that Jerod Mayo gave them game balls after the game, along with Jacoby Brissett. So 3 young defenders having to play a large role, and they do so in an awesome capacity. And so does linebacker Christian Ellis. He led the team with 9 tackles. He had a sack. He also had a quarterback hit. A core special teamer for him last year, and someone who made the roster as is someone who we thought would essentially only play special teams and be sort of a break glass in case emergency defender, has had to do exactly that. And someone who we talked about last week when they couldn't defend the run, someone who was kind of highlighted as he may be in over his head. He's not, all here on the defensive side of the ball. He steps up and has a great day. So Taylor, take us through how these defenders stepped up on that side of the football yesterday.
100%. So 2 clips. Most of the love is going to be going to the safeties, but we are going to end on Ellis' sack and explain exactly what happened. But I also want to highlight Ellis because he really has gotten significantly better. Not significantly, but he's gotten noticeably better each week against the run. He mentioned that coaches are letting him know where to put his eyes, which puts you in the best position to succeed. And you could tell, like, there's a play where there was a pulling guard and he shot downhill in a way that I haven't really seen quite as much in the past. Still some things to work on, like we talked about the defensive pass interference, where it's like, you got to be more patient, understand when you got to turn back for the ball. That's going to save you in a lot of those instances. But a guy who's making a lot of progress. But the safeties, we talked about it. Marte Mapu's done a great job. Jalen Hawkins has been solid for them. And Del Pettis, this is the guy that we're going to highlight on this clip because he's been impressive in man coverage. I really like what I've been seeing from him. Let's get into this play specifically. Now we got Marte Mapu as the weak safety. We got Jalen Hawkins as your strong or field safety, where he's got all of this room to deal with. And then Del Pettis in the box is basically what you call the point safety. Now, the Jets are basically going to run a triple in breaker to the left side where all the receivers are. And then at the top, they're going to run a dig to Garrett Wilson, who is typically their backside receiver in the game. Like, I know we talked, you shared the mic'd up from Christian Gonzalez and Mike Pellegrino talking about how, eventually we're going to get it. And literally Devontae Adams only backside 2 times. It was the same drive. He ran the same route and Christian Gonzalez smothered it both times. including a breakup, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about the dang safety. So let's keep going. All right, now the Patriots, shock, they're in man coverage. A lot of man coverage in this game. But one unique element of this is they're actually going to have Marte Mapu essentially bracket Garrett Wilson. I think they're expecting a dig here because the way this starts out is Marcus Jones is initially going to play underneath and then just play the inside leverage. But once Garrett Wilson actually goes to the middle of the field, Marte Mapu takes over, and then Marcus Jones instead takes the outside. Now, what I want to focus on specifically, that's just kind of a fun element of the play, but really the attention is on Del Pettis, who absolutely smothers Tyler Conklin from off coverage, waits for the tight end to get to him, knowing that he can make contact within 5 yards, and also knowing that a big tight end is usually going to try to engage a defensive back, especially when it's a 200-pound guy like Del Pettis. But he ain't scared, tries to make contact, but doesn't grab, all right? That's the tricky part with a lot of these guys who get impatient is they'll be in this position and they'll try to grab and yank. We actually saw Gonzo do that against Davante Adams. He kind of got away from him and he pulled, but he was wearing white gloves, so he got away with it. Got, ticky-tack makeup call later. But nice job by Del Pettis not grabbing, just keeping his hands so he knows where the receiver is. No ref's going to flag you for that. Now, Aaron Rodgers sees that Del Pettis is all over this, but he's not looking at the receiver, or he's not looking at the quarterback. So Rodgers is saying, what did Drake Maye do last week against the Jaguars? Oh, defender's not looking at me. I'm putting it right on his head. He's going to try to do that to Del Pettis, but because he's got pressure, first inside from Keon White that moved him off his spot, then from Dietrich Wise looping around, he's not comfortable, ends up throwing this while he's kind of fading away, and goes to Jalen Hawkins, who's not anywhere near where this was supposed to go. Unfortunately, Hawkins couldn't finish. I'll actually show the end zone angle of this because it gives a much better idea of what goes on. So Del Pettis, once again, waits for his man to come to him. No grabbing. Just make sure he knows where his guy is. He's right on his hip. Literally, he can't throw it in front of him because he's going to end up hitting Dell anyway. Tries to back shoulder it, but nope, that's not right. Jalen Hawkins is right, except for at the end when he doesn't actually secure it. But,
we talked about Aaron Rodgers' ability to throw off platform. That was a bad throw. And he has no footing. He's basically jumping in the air backwards, and he puts it in a bad spot.
It's amazing what happens when you're 40 years old and you can't throw like you did when you were even like 38, time's a bitch, I guess. Anyway, all right, so now we're going to get to the Christian Ellis third down sack. Really, this was partially a good way of scheming for the Patriots up front. Like you have kind of a funky look where Ellis is behind Keon White, so you're not totally sure who's actually going to rush on that backside. But the really interesting part here, so first let's get a lay of the land and know where everybody is because everyone's kind of important in how this works out. So you got Christian Gonzalez at the top of the screen. Then in this kind of off coverage, you've got Marco Wilson and Jalen Hawkins, Marte Mapu as the point right over the tight end. In the middle, you got Christian Ellis and Del Pettis in the box. And then to the backside, you've got Jonathan Jones. I put DB here because he really just moved around so much.
It was everywhere.
Exactly. Here, like he's playing true free safety. Or is this free safety? Yeah, they're on the middle hash. It's whatever. I'm calling him a free safety.
Love it.
And then you got Marcus Jones as the boundary cornerback. So what does purple mean? Purple means it's some kind of match coverage, like they're going to pass it off somehow. So we're getting straight man coverage from Gonzo, Mapu, and then from Del Pettis against the running back. But we're going to have Christian Ellis, as we know, coming on a blitz. He's going to end up completely free because he takes a tick to get downhill, and Keon White obviously demands a lot of attention. But remember what we saw when they had the kind of switch releases, and then we saw, okay, my guy went underneath and inside. I have outside leverage. I'm just going to gain depth. We're going to see something kind of similar here, where based on the route distribution, it's going to decide how they end up playing these patterns. And what the Jets are going to do, instead of having an out from the inside receiver and the underneath, you're going to have an underneath route, but then a route on top of it as well. So this man match is going to react a little bit differently this time. So we're going to see it play out. Now, when Davante Adams goes inside, you see, instead of like chasing him like you typically would in man coverage, Marco passes him off to the safety. Now you end up with a bracket here, a bracket at the top on Garrett Wilson, and okay, Aaron Rodgers looks like he wants to go to Davante Adams short, but you can't because Jalen Hawkins is going to knock his head off if you do that. And you've got Christian Ellis unblocked coming down the pipe. Really nothing for Rodgers to do here, and the play is dead. I don't even know what the hell that was. But yeah, that was so weird. Anyway, that's what happens. Christian Ellis gets to the quarterback. to end that drive. So once again, the safeties being able to have the level of communication they did to pass off these routes, understand whether my guy's coming inside or whether he's going outside. I know that I need to gain depth and take a certain route in my area. Really good communication. Also an example of coverage, marrying with pass rush, where you take away the quarterback's first read, gives the rush the time they need to actually get home. Really impressive from those guys stepping up. And Del Pettis, man, he's going to be a guy on this team. The fact that he's a personal protector already as an undrafted rookie is very telling. Also, anytime they need him to step up, he's a guy who usually delivers. I still have yet to see like a glaring loss from him. So, hats off to the UDFA.
Yeah, a resilient win. And like you said, impressive performance from four guys really, who weren't necessarily expected to have a massive role on this team. Maybe Jalen Hawkins, but as a third safety, and maybe Marte Mapu as a guy who is just sort of a chess piece in that in that back end of the defense, second level, third level, what have you. And then Christian Ellis, a special teamer. Three guys who really exemplified that next man mentality that we talked about. Mayo mentioned it, saying himself, not having Duggar and Peppers back there, thought those three guys in Pettis, Hawkins, and Mapu did a good job. And then you lose Drake early in the game. You thought Jacoby was right. He said he said he thought Jacoby was ready to go. Was it perfect? No, but at the same time, thought the operation was good, thought he made some good throws, and they have to continue to build on that. So let's break it down. But before we do, let's talk about our friends over at Game Time. Because let's actually do a live check at the Game Time app. Anyone headed down to Nashville this weekend? I know Taylor is going to be there for Patriots versus Titans. Another winnable game for this Patriots team because, man, do those Tennessee Titans stink a lot worse than the Patriots even do. A lot of people probably
don't jinx it, please.
Yeah, I know you're right, but a lot of people probably take that Nashville trip from here because it's not only it's a bachelorette thing, but also people love the country music. You go down to all the downtown streets and go check out country music. And right now you can get in to Nissan Stadium for as little as $68 on the Game Time app. Not too shabby. So if you want to go see Patriots versus Titans, do so through the Game Time app. They also have the Game Time Picks feature that filters out the fluff and only gives you the great deals they have on the best seats in the stadium. You can also see your seat view right in the app. Not all the ticketing apps do that, but Game Time does. So you won't get stuck behind the pole. You won't get stuck looking in the opposite direction. You can see exactly what your seat is going to look like before you make your purchase. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, Taylor?
Game time.
It is definitely game time. It's also time to break down the quarterback play from Sunday. I've said it 3 times now. Might as well say it a fourth. Drake Maye, the star, the savior of the franchise, goes down early in this game with a concussion. He misses the remainder of the contest, and it felt like, for all intents and purposes, the dream was dead. They weren't going to beat the Jets. They had to bring Brissett in. In the 5 games that Brissett played, the downfield passing game was basically non-existent. They obviously, as we know, went 1-4 throughout those games. But Brissett said, I'm going to come in. I'm going to be confident in myself. He said that he was confident in his abilities, wasn't listening to the outside noise, and after the game said he was proud of himself for the way he played. He went 15 of 24 for 132 yards, and he also led a 12-play, 70-yard game-winning drive to close this one out 25-22. So we're going to go through not the entirety of the drive, but most of the drive, bringing it into that final Ramondre Stevenson touchdown. So Taylor, pull it up and break it down for us.
Yeah, so these are going to be all the key plays. Now, talking about Brissett, I do want to begin with, it wasn't a perfect game, and we didn't expect that from Jacoby necessarily. Also, really disappointing that he had some legitimately outstanding throws. Like, the ones that were dropped were all very impressive. The back shoulder to Kendrick Bourne, the one to Kayshon Boutte over the middle. Also, Kendrick Bourne. Honestly, that one I was a little like, I wish he'd actually hit DeMario Douglas in the second window instead. But either way, he threw a few dimes that weren't caught, unfortunately. But this drive, he really got to show what he could do. The play I'm going to start off with, I'm not even really going to go in depth on this one because it's pretty straightforward. But I was kind of curious, and we talked about this at the time when it happened. We were like, could he have thrown the ball? Because there may have been a touchdown to Hunter Henry. This is not to poo-poo Jacoby. I don't mind at all the decision he made, especially in a 3rd and 9 situation. But let's run it through and see what exactly happens here. So Jacoby gets a snap, drops back, gets quick pressure off the edge. Nothing terrible. Like Demontre Jacobs' job is to get this guy around the arc. That's why you have this pocket right here. So Jacoby is going to capitalize on this lane. And he's like, you know what? I got a lot of grass to work with here. And there's defenders really far back. Like, I'm not that old. I could definitely get this down with my legs. But at the same time, Hunter Henry, he sees him and he's open. Like, there's a good chance that if Jacoby puts this on him, like on a line, while this safety is or defensive back is coming downhill, there's a decent chance that this is at least a huge gain or potentially a touchdown. And Jacoby Brissett isn't past the line quite yet. By the letter of the law, you have until the backmost part of your body, whether it's your elbow, your foot, whatever, is still on the line to let the ball go. But again, I don't really mind this. I just think it's kind of an interesting story where first Jacoby making the guy miss and then getting the first down. Awesome. But I was like, I wanted to see what it looked like on film, and it turned
still
out
a nice play fake though for him to at least give the eyes to Hunter Henry to make the defensive back hesitate, and then he's able to get the first down.
Exactly. So still positive play from Jacoby Brissett. Just was an interesting one that we noticed at the time.
Yep.
Now we're getting to the good stuff. Right into it. The Kayshon Boutte post catch. This was a really awesome play from both the quarterback and the wide receiver. Actually, Jacoby didn't get hit the way I thought he did. Because when we saw this, we were looking at the screen and just saw the camera move as the safety bared down. Whatever.
Bared down.
It kind of glanced him, but it was still enough to affect the throw. So pretty much what we're getting here is it's a cornersy type look. It's kind of funky, to be honest, because it almost looks like this safety is playing like a deep third, but I think it may also be a poach technique, which you talked about before, where basically you're just looking for a deep in-breaker to take away. But the important part is this linebacker who's mugging, pretending like, or threatening to blitz, is going to drop to the strong side of the field. This safety is going to end up blitzing from depth, which leaves Sauce Gardner and Kayshon Boutte one-on-one on the outside. Kayshon Boutte running a post, which he's going to execute extremely well to get Sauce Gardner to move his hips and open up a lane to get open downfield. Now, get the snap, Jacoby. There you go, pal. All right, 3, drop. Now, you got Kayshon Boutte did a great job in his stem, threatening outside, forcing Sauce to open his hips to the sideline right before he's going to break back inside. Now, Jacoby Brissett has no idea that he's not actually going to get his ribs broken here. He's just like, all I know is this guy was running full speed, trying to hit me, but you know what?
Sauce is turned around. Yeah, right.
I'm letting this thing go deep. So safety glances him, but it was still enough to hit his legs and affect the throw. Boutte does a great job tracking this, slides to make the adjustment after winning cleanly on the route. Great play from Kayshon Boutte.
All right to the ref again, too. Love the situational awareness by Boutte.
This is why we work so well together. Absolutely. Yep. Is it the second week in a row? No, he also did it in the Miami.
Did a couple. Yeah, the Miami game it was. Yep.
Now, we talked about it all week leading up to this game, that the Jets were going to be susceptible to pick plays, right? Also, that Alex Van Pelt didn't show that he had a lot of answers for those. Every once in a while, we'd see something, but there were also times where it felt like, I feel like that guy should have run more interference to get his receiver open, but we did a much better job with dedicated pick plays. Here, we're going to see Kendrick Bourne freeing up Kayshon Boutte from what possibly should have been the game-winning touchdown. I don't know. But, still, it was a really, really well-designed play. So, to this side of the field, this is where the action is going to happen. We're going to get Kayshon Boutte at the top, Kendrick Bourne on the line of scrimmage, Ramondre Stevenson in the backfield. Why does Ramondre Stevenson matter in this equation? Well, the Jets are going to be in man coverage to this side of the field. And Ramondre Stevenson is actually going to go in what we call fast motion, where you're going to go from one side of the line from one side of the quarterback to the other and basically influence the numbers without stopping, so the defense has to adjust quickly. Then you're going to get Kendrick Bourne running what looks like it's supposed to be a slant, but really he's just running interference to try to cause a collision, and then get Kayshon Boutte open underneath on his route. Now, let's see Ramondre Stevenson. See that fast motion leaves a huge vacated space in that part where Kayshon's trying to go. We get Kayshon Boutte open because the interference has been created. Catches it, barely gets the knee down before he's actually able to score. But once again, what does he do, Mike?
Ball to the ref, sir.
Where's the official?
Yep.
I want to put the ball.
Yep.
Good situational awareness there. Now we're going to punch this sucker in. This was actually a play that I studied a ton when I was trying to figure out what Alex Van Pelt might bring to the Patriots. This was one of the Browns' signature runs, a unique type of gap play. We're going to break down step by step because it can get kind of confusing. But one of my favorite parts of this is we get 7 offensive linemen on the field at once, along with the main 2 tight ends. We got Sidy Sow in the backfield as a fullback, Zach Thomas on the line of scrimmage as a tight end. Jerod Mayo mentioned today that the offensive line, an area that everybody was saying was such a weakness, has become a strength because all 8 guys who were active ended up seeing playing time. Kind of reminds me of a tweet that somebody put out a while ago about how Elliott Wolf and the O-line coach were doing a pretty good job, but I don't know, whatever. What an idiot. Then we're going to get to the side that the run's actually going to go to. Demontre Jacobs at right tackle, Mike Nwenu at right guard, and Austin Hooper as the tight end at the point of attack. Now, front side, going to be a pretty straightforward gap run, right? Down blocks, and then Austin Hooper setting the edge right there. But what's kind of unique about this, Hunter Henry is still going to be involved. He's actually going to come in jet motion. Remember, we saw that earlier from Tyler Conklin.
Yep.
We're going to see that from him here. He's going to try to get to the second level. Sidy Sow is going to try to block the first off-ball linebacker. And then Michael Jordan is actually going to come in a short pull to try to create a wall, basically, and get the backside linebacker. The essential idea is the line of scrimmage and the guys that aren't pulling or aren't lead blocking are trying to move the defensive line. Everybody who's lead blocking basically create a wall at the second level, and then the running back basically just puts his head down and tries to turn forward. Now, Hunter Henry in motion, but what ends up happening is the defensive line does a great job because they know in these situations that the offensive linemen want to go low because they want to take your legs out from under you so you can't make the tackle. The Jets are very smart and end up swimming their defenders, so we get Demontre Jacobs and Mike Nwenu both on the ground. But really, really great awareness from Michael Jordan and Hunter Henry taking the most dangerous threats instead of going, remember, they were supposed to block these 2 guys, but they said, nope, we got trouble now. I got to address it. They do a really good job there. And then Hunter Henry blocking 2 guys at once.
Baller.
Highly veteran, told us after the game he wants to be known as someone who is reliable, both on and off the field. These are the kind of things you do to gain and earn that reputation. And then Sidy Sow also doing a good job once the linebacker actually does get to the line of scrimmage, trying to carve him out. Ramondre Stevenson churns his legs, fights forward, and as far as we know, does the rest to get the Patriots in the end zone for 6 points. But that was not enough. They wanted to put this game in a position where the Jets were going to have to go all the way down and kick a field goal just to tie the game. Once again, Kayshon Boutte showing his selflessness. We get an empty formation with Boutte on the line of scrimmage and Ramondre Stevenson on the wing. A lot of the time when you see this look, what do you think is going to happen with Ramondre Stevenson and Hunter Henry?
Where are we? Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Rhymes with dip.
What?
Chip. They're going to chip.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like a pick play. I'm like, that doesn't
rhyme. Quarterback, everybody.
Yeah, okay. I got you.
That's okay. Spread quarterback too, but I'll
right.
Anyway, so typically in this look, the guys that are on the wing, Hunter Henry and Ramondre Stevenson, they're going to chip.
I was thinking Henry was behind Stevenson's name tag, so I was thinking that's why I was thinking fair. Pick because they were on the same side and they were going to run something. Forget it. Just go ahead.
This is the problem with having to use QuickTime and screenshot. I don't have the nice cool graphics where everything's spaced out well, but we do what we can. Yep. So gonna get to this one really quickly. Another situation, you get man coverage on the backside, and you are going to get another pick play, very similar to what Kendrick Bourne did, where Kayshon Boutte's just running interference. Also, he creates that interference within a yard of the line of scrimmage, so it's still legal. Ramondre Stevenson basically just has to look and catch the ball because Kayshon Boutte, as you can see, takes on 2 defenders, creates that collision. Easy catch for Ramondre Stevenson. Patriots up 3 points. Jets have to go all the way down the field to even get a field goal, but they can't, and the Patriots win the ball game. Really impressive drive from New England, the kind that I didn't know that they were capable of, to be honest, under Jacoby Brissett, because we hadn't seen it. We saw them get close, but that even felt like maybe they got lucky. You know, it's the Dolphins and they're struggling. The Jets are a legit defense. And they really did a much more impressive job than I thought that they would without Drake Maye. So hats off to them. And also hats off to Alex Van Pelt. A lot of very well-designed concepts. Again, just some that I couldn't even get to. We will later in the week. But especially with the game on the line, 4th and goal, you go with your 2 best players, Ramondre Stevenson running behind Mike Onwenu. Obviously, Mike Onwenu did fall on the play, but more often than not, he's going to get the job done for you. And that's why you get your 2 best players, because Ramondre Stevenson picked up the slack.
Yeah, impressive game in most phases. The kicking game left some to be desired on one end, but obviously they have the long return from Marcus Jones. The defense steps up, offense plays well, and you said it, Taylor. A drive that, frankly, I didn't know that they were capable of. And as soon as the Jets scored to go up by 3 or however many points, go up by 4 at that point in time, it felt like they were going to have a tough time getting down there again because we hadn't seen it before. But they grabbed their you-know-whats and they made it happen. And they said, we're going to go do this. We're going to go score. We're going to win a football game. Impressive stuff after getting called out this week for being soft as well. It sounds like, at least from some people in the locker room post-game, that instead of taking it to heart and taking it personally, they said, you know what? No, we're not soft, and we're going to basically prove you wrong, and we're going to play tough football. And it worked. So we'll see if they can continue. They'll have a winnable game next week against the Tennessee Titans. So we'll see if they can string 2 in a row here. But overall, an impressive 25-22 win for the Patriots against the New York Jets to bring their record to 2-6 as they continue to rebuild this New England franchise. We will be back for the rest of the week, breaking down the rest of this game, some other aspects. We're going to talk a little bit about Drake Maye. We're going to hit on some other things as the Patriots get ready to take on the Titans next week. And if you stay here on Patriots Press Pass in the next 4 minutes, you're going to have Alex Barth and Brian Hines coming up right after us for their breakdown of Patriots versus Jets on the Patriots Beat podcast. So make sure you keep it locked in. You keep it here on Press Pass. Rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Like our videos. That helps us out as well. And yeah, keep it here for the rest of the Patriots season as we continue to chug along. We'll have written work on CLNSmedia.com as well. So make sure you keep it locked in there. Until next time here on Patriots Beat, he's Taylor Kyles. I'm Mike Kadlick. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And we will see you next time. Peace out, everyone.